Here we go. Good morning, everybody. Lucinda Sullivan and Steve Duraco. Tracy Bogert, the president of the Bexar County MAGA Republicans and coronavirus angry deniers. Good to see you. Welcome in.
Now, Chris Duel.
The weekend begins because we begin the weekend on a Thursday, July 8th, 2021. The NBA Finals will resume tonight. Game number 2 in Phoenix. Suns up 1-0 there. Astros win again. Sorry, haters. Astros beat the Oakland A's last night at Minute Maid Park 4-3. Open up a 5.5 game lead on the A's in the AL West. I believe just 4 games remaining until the All-Star break for the Astros. 1 more against Oakland tonight, and then 3 coming up against the evil New York Yankees. Hockey is over. Tampa Bay Lightning win the Stanley Cup 4-1. They beat the Tampa Bay Lightnings 1-0 last night. Roger Federer upset in straight sets in Wimbledon. At Wimbledon, he is done. But the epicenter of the sports world last night was at Q2 Stadium, where Shannon Salty Sweeney was there, I hope, along with Matthew McConaughey and Will Ferrell. And hopefully, Shannon, you joined Matthew McConaughey in fighting and trying to beat down the evil Will Ferrell of LAFC. How was the Austin FC experience for you last night at Q2 Stadium?
I had a fantastic time. Not the result we wanted. They lost 2-0 to LAFC, which is known to be a pretty doggone good team. It was disappointing. I mean, Austin FC controlled the game with about 63% of possession, but just LAFC made better off with the chances that they took on goal. No sighting of Matthew or Will.
Oh, no.
That was a little disappointing, but there's so much going on from the supporter section to the cheering. I mean, I tried my best to join in those chants, but it's a little hard for me when I don't have the words right in front of me. But I said words no matter what. I mean, I was there screaming the entire time. Beers in both hands. Had a fantastic evening. If you haven't been, I suggest you go. It's a phenomenal time, win or lose.
2 things you said that I thought were very impressive. Number 1, of course, beers in both hands.
Well,
that's a commitment to fandom right there, and being a part of that soccer tradition. Number 2, you said 2-0, and thank you for not saying 2-0. It was 2-0 on the pitch last night. No, 2. This is America. It was 2-0.
Yeah.
So thank you. And you bring up a very good point, and maybe some Austin FC supporters groups are listening. Maybe it is a good idea. I mean, it'd be pretty cheap. Print up your chants on paper and pass them out.
They did that at one event, and I don't know if maybe you have to venture over to that side to maybe grab another one if they have them. But if there's a better, like if anyone has a link, because I was getting about every other word right. You know, I could hear when they were saying ATX.
Yeah.
Verde. I got that down. Pat.
Well, and you bring up another great idea. Link. Obviously, the easiest for somebody who's in that stadium, I think, would be the Austin FC website. If they're cool with those chants, and I imagine they are, just a little link that says in-game chants from our supporters groups. Because if you could, I mean, you're locked in. You're a huge Austin FC fan. You were from the get-go. You had the green Yeti jersey months before that team ever played. So, I mean, if you would have chanted right along. So if you want the chants and you didn't know the chants and you were at the, I mean, obviously I would think there's a lot of people who could benefit from easy access to knowing what the chants are.
Yes, and we didn't realize it until after LAFC scored their first goal, but the small clump of away fans, I'm sure they live in Austin because we have so many LA people here. but they were all kind of behind us and to the right. So they got a little more rowdy as the game
Oh, yeah.
progressed.
As
So
they
I felt
started.
the need to vocalize myself even more.
Yes.
Not in a rude way, just, turn up the volume just a little bit from what I was already doing in my cheering
Woo.
and chanting.
And I glanced at the standings this morning, and obviously it's year one for Austin FC. It's a startup. We don't expect them to win the MLS title this year. Would be nice, but they are ahead of Dallas FC in the
Wow.
standings. So take that, you pretentious, big-haired people in Dallas. Austin FC, it's their first season, and they got a better record than you do.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
If anything, because we are a new club and expectations are not necessarily high, I think it's fair to say we're fighting for the state of Texas.
Woo, there you go. First things
I
first.
think we're doing all right.
Small steps. Let's win Texas first. And think about this, Shannon. As you report in the stadium last night at Q2 Stadium, the vibe, as you described, was awesome.
Mhm.
And this is for season one when, wins are hard to come by and wins are somewhat few and far between, at least for the moment. That could change at any time. So imagine it's only going to get better. And imagine when this team, and it will happen, starts winning more matches than they lose. That stadium, especially given its construction, its size, its dimensions, the level of fan passion. I mean, that place is going to certainly be rocking even more than it is and then it was last night. So things are only looking up for Austin FC.
Yes, very much looking forward to the future and future games of which I can attend. I don't know after doing that I could ever go sit in the press box. I don't know. If that was my only way in, okay, maybe, but to not be able to be up there and be part of the chants and cheer should a goal be scored by the Verde, I don't know. I might get kicked out. It might not be worth it.
Exactly. Well, and see, I think you can do both. And again, it's not a great comparison, but it's a little bit of a. Last time we had real football in San Antonio a couple of years ago, the San Antonio Commanders of the Alliance of American Football, and I had a press credential, so I'd go in as media. But as we've discussed, Shannon, they frown upon you cheering and drinking in the press box. Two of things I like to cheer for the home team, and I like to enjoy an adult beverage or five. So, and I would have friends down in the stands. So I would start the pregame. I would go to the press box, do my media duties. I'd gather up, the game notes and, get a feel for who was in the press box, talk a little bit about the game. But by kickoff, it's like I was able to spot where all my friends were, and I do want to cheer. And I would like an adult beverage or a few. So I think you can do both. I think you can do your media response. And I would go up at halftime and stumble up there at halftime and just make sure I got the lay of the land and see if there's anything I needed to know from other media types, and then stumble back down for the second half. So you can do both. And I think you're more of a representative of the people if you do both, because you are experiencing, in this case, Austin FC. You're covering it as a media member, but you're also experiencing it as a fan. And I think that's a big part of what we should be reporting on.
As the rule follower, I am. However, when I got the email that says you've been approved for a credential, it was like, you can only enter here, and then you walk straight here and you go to the press box. And if you get caught outside of this green path with your credential, it will be taken from you, and you probably won't get credentials in the future. And Q2 is bag free. So it's not like I could hide it anywhere unless I put it under my shirt, and I don't want to do that.
You got a back pocket? How big's the credential? Can you stick it?
Girl pockets, man.
Okay.
It's not the same as
all
my
right
pocket.
Well, put it on a little lanyard and stick the lanyard down your shirt.
Yeah, the amount of sweat just from sitting there last night, and it was pretty nice last night. A little bit of a breeze. I think it was in the 80s.
No rain, though. You avoided rain. Cool.
It was overall a really nice night weather-wise, but I was still sweating my ass off.
Well, that's part of the fun. That's part of the fun. So, all right, coming up in just a few moments. In fact, we'll do it here within seconds at the top of the hour. We do it twice in the morning, but 12 times throughout the day. It is the Grand in Your Hand cash contest. So we do it on this show at 6:20 and at 7:20. And over 4 weeks, we are giving away $228,000 in this contest across, and it is across multiple iHeart radio stations, but somebody wins that money. That's my philosophy. So duck in here, throw your name in the hat, see if you can win $1,000 because somebody's winning the money. You're going to get a keyword right now and a place to text that keyword. So let's do this thing. Here is the grand in your hand cash contest.
Now, your chance to win $1,000. Text the nationwide keyword GAME to 200-200. You'll get a confirmation text and info. Standard data and message rates apply in this nationwide contest. That's GAME to 200-200.
Game. And a quick shout out to everybody on Facebook Live. Lucinda, Tracy, Steve, Jason, Travis, Hector, welcome in. And it's not just Facebook Live. It is a live video feed. That's just one of the places you can access it. You can access it via YouTube. There's a Twitch link into the video feed. And, of course, on Facebook via the AM 1300 The Zone and Ticket 760 Facebook pages where you can not only interact in real time with us, Shannon, me, and in a moment we'll introduce Dave to you, our soundscape stylist, but you can join in with each other, which is kind of a cool thing. There's usually a lot of cool side conversations that go on. One quick thing, Shannon, I've noticed, we talked Matthew McConaughey earlier as he is kind of the celebrity face of Austin FC. Last night they took on LAFC, and Will Ferrell has emerged as the celebrity face of LAFC. I'm noticing it flicking through my TikTok feed, in addition to very hilarious Shannon Salty Sweeney TikToks, which I highly recommend. They're across all media, including TikTok, Twitter. You find her at Shannon B. Sweeney. But I'm noticing Matthew McConaughey they're kind of cool, like inspirational little talks for like a minute. He'll say something inspiring. He'll say something practical, the way you can live your life. And I just love this guy more and more. I just think he's putting out good vibes into the world, which I think we can use more of, especially now.
Yeah, he's definitely made the most of the quarantining and getting into the social medias and the videos from home. I think he put out almost a 5-minute maybe video on 4th of July. I didn't watch it, but I saw it was there.
I did see that. That was very cool.
He's a man of the people.
Yes.
Whether or not the people agree with what he has to say, he doesn't care.
Yeah.
It's just, it all comes from the heart for Matthew.
It does.
It should be appreciated in and of itself.
And that 4th of July video from Matthew McConaughey, it was just aspirational. It was talking about America and who we are and who we should be and how we could do better. And shouldn't we just try to do better? I mean, you know what? And if anybody wants to dog him for putting out that kind of a message, then I think that says more about you as Mr. or Ms. Negativity than it does about Matthew McConaughey trying to put out good thoughts and good ideas and good philosophy into the world. Let us welcome in our soundscape stylist. I guess this must be a plain not just a throwback Thursday, but for you, Mr. Dave Ayler, a plain T-shirt Thursday. You're going, which I do respect. It sounds like I give you crap for that, but I do respect your being totally independent. Not.
Thank you for liking my fashion wardrobe, but and usually I write it up on the video thing there on the StreamYard thing.
Yeah,
but I didn't do it today. But yeah, it's a plain shirt Thursday.
And are you a little bummed out? I know last night the National Hockey League season came to an end. As you know, we are all about the hockey on this show. Shannon and I can't talk enough hockey. We are hockey. Lightning beat the Montreal Canadiens last night, 1-0. Tampa Bay takes the Stanley Cup 4-1. I do like the fact anytime we can beat another country, I'm very nationalistic. I'm very xenophobic. Even though the Canadians are generally nice to us, I'm sorry. We will smite you. We will destroy you. I know you guys kind of invented hockey with your Moosehead beer, your Molson, whatever else you're into. But it was Operation Leaf Blower, baby. And America, not just Tampa Bay, America beat Canada in hockey last night to take the Stanley Cup. Yeah, I know via your St. Louis Blues, you're a hockey guy. Are you a little bit sad to see hockey go away for a while?
No, because once the Blues are out of it, I'm kind of over hockey. They're about the only team I follow. Although, just to mention that Pat Maroon, who won Stanley Cup with the Blues, then was traded or was free agent, I think, to Tampa Bay, won the last 2 Stanley Cups in Tampa Bay. So he's got 3 in a row.
3 in a row. My goodness. Pat Maroon.
From St. Louis.
From St. Louis.
Yeah. Went to the same high school as my sister high school.
My goodness.
The high school I went to.
Why did the St. Louis Blues let him go?
Money, I think.
Money, yeah.
I think it was a free agency thing.
All right.
3 Stanley Cups in a row.
That's got to be pretty cool.
Yeah,
Other than maybe Wayne Gretzky, not a lot of people can boast that. That's pretty cool for him.
And I think the Tampa Bay's the first team to win back-to-back Stanley Cups since Pittsburgh Penguins.
My goodness.
It's title town down there.
Oh, you got it.
That's right. I didn't even think about that.
And the Rays almost won the
Yeah.
series.
The Rays they got it going on in Tampa Bay lately. So Shannon, at the Austin FC game last night, were you looking at your phone? Were you glued to your phone for NHL Stanley Cup hockey results?
Absolutely not. Didn't even know it was happening. Let's do that hockey. No, thank you. It's only funny on SNL.
Well, and
No.
go ahead, Dave.
And not only did we beat the Canadians, or a Canadian team, we beat the French Canadians. Because the French Canadians aren't liked by the Canadians.
Really?
Yeah.
So Montreal is the French Canadians.
Montreal, yeah, that's Quebec.
Yeah, all right. Well, I don't know my Canada that way. I've only been to Canada once.
I've been there once, and the French Canadians were very rude. And
well, good. I'm glad we beat them.
And from the Canadians that I have talked to, they said they don't like the French Canadians.
Wow. What is it about the French? And Shannon, you've been to Europe, you've been to France. I hear, they're rude to Americans if you don't speak the language impeccably. And now I didn't know French Canadians were also rude, but I guess that's a thing.
I think French people are fine. Just don't go over there and be a stereotype of an American.
Don't be an ugly American.
Yeah, don't give them a reason.
Yeah.
It'll be fine.
All right. That's coming from experience. That's a good thing.
Well, maybe they're bitter because they're not in France and they're in Canada.
Well, they just go to France. It's a free country.
They're stuck in Canada, then they can't go to, that's where they're from, and they can't go back, I guess. Right. I don't know. I'd rather be in Paris than.
Yeah, then they should make a little Paris. You've got like little Italy and little China. Make it like build your own little Eiffel Tower and have a little mini Paris in Montreal.
Just don't come to Paris, Texas.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, exactly. Well, we won't let you, especially if you're rude. Don't come to Paris, Texas. Okay, coming up, the high five play of the day, which I do believe will go to a Texan, an actual Texan, if I'm right. We'll win that today. We got a lot to talk about. We got to talk about the NBA Finals, and we will. We got to talk about the red-hot Houston Astros, and we will. Wimbledon now down to the Final Four men and the Final Four women. There's that. Roger Federer, if you had him in your Wimbledon fantasy pool, you lose big. He was upset yesterday in straight sets. More news out of Tokyo and the Olympics, and it ain't good. We will get into that as well. She is Shannon Salty Sweeney. Her Salty Shakedown coming up in about an hour. Tanner Carlson going to jump in here in the 8 o'clock hour. We'll talk a little NFL football and more with Tanner. We are getting closer to NFL training camps, closer to the Olympics. Lots going on in the world of sports. And you can join us on the phone lines if you want to jump in here the old-fashioned way. We do take your phone calls in the morning at 800-707-9760. She is Shannon Salty Sweeney. I'm Chris, with you till 9 on the Chris Duel Show. Welcome in, Travis, David Valles. Let's see. Whoa. Yeah, I did not mention England and Denmark yet. That was a big deal yesterday as well. Yeah, I don't know why the echo is happening. It just happens sometimes. I just talk into the stick. That's all I know. Let's see. Hector, the first group of athletes got an endorsement deal. Wow. Okay. Notre Dame is now in on it, Hector. Thank you for that. I haven't seen that story yet. I'll have to go look for it. What's happening?
Morning, sir. Did you get that interview set up?
I did not.
Not yet.
I saw an email on my phone from him.
From who?
Whoever's involved with the interview, because it just flashed on my phone.
Tracy Bowden.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then I looked for it on my iHeart email and I can't find it.
Okay.
So maybe she sent it to my Gmail. I have to go back and look at it.
Okay.
This morning I looked for it when I got here and I can't find it on my iHeart.
We'll make it happen.
If I can't find it on either Gmail, and you wouldn't have given her my Gmail, would you?
I just gave her whatever email it was that I included you on.
Okay.
I sent her the email that you to have you copied on it.
Yeah.
That's the email address she has because I've seen her send an email to you.
Okay.
On my email because she copied me on it.
If you can find that and just forward that to me again,
Okay.
and I'll get with her this morning.
Okay, we'll do.
But I meant to get with her yesterday and I couldn't find the email, and I tried again this morning. I can't find the email. So I don't know what's going on there. Okay, thanks. Okay, I think I'm gonna tank up on coffee here to begin the morning. Foam Foot 420, you're late, but thanks for coming to the party. You're usually in here from the get-go. Good to see you. All right. Be back in a sec. Yeah, foam foot. We talked about that. In addition to that, the Tampa Bay Rays went deep into the baseball playoffs last year. So yeah, who saw that coming? Tampa Bay, City of Champions. Welcome back. It is the Chris Duel Show with Shannon Salty Sweeney on this Thursday, July 8th. Lots going on in the world of sports. One of the big headlines, of course, will be tonight's game number 2 of the NBA Finals at Phoenix. Phoenix up 1-0. That'll be on ABC television at 8 o'clock. We'll dive more into that. We'll talk a little baseball. Houston Astros on a roll. They win again last night. They beat the Oakland A's 4-3, open up a 5.5 game lead over the Oakland A's in the AL West. They are now 4 games away from the All-Star break. They've got one more game against the Oakland A's tonight at Minute Maid Park, and then 3 against the New York Yankees. So we'll get into that. We'll talk NFL football, of course, because we should. We'll talk Olympics, which draws nearer as well. Olympics opening up on July 23rd, which I believe, doing my rudimentary math, is about 15 days away. So we'll talk about that as well. But right now, we love doing this because there's always time and there's always a reason for a high five in the world of sports. It is time for the high five play of the day, brought to you by High Five. And Shannon, it's always better when a Texan, somebody who hails from the great state of Texas, receives the high five.
Yeah, and a guy who's probably no stranger to high fives with all of his, or I'd just say a few accomplishments: Super Bowl MVP, multiple-time Madden cover personality. Mr. Patrick Mahomes is receiving our high five today because even though he is a Texan, he obviously is very much in love with the city of Kansas City, for which he reps as the helm of the Chiefs, and he's getting involved, right, in the community around him. He has partnered with USA Football to help youth football coaches learn how to become good youth football coaches. I think a lot of times it's forgotten, like a great coach can do great things just as much as a not so great coach can do not great things. And especially when we're talking about football and safety, there's a lot of worries about getting your kids maybe in too early. And a lot of that just has to do with making sure you're playing the game the right way, especially when it comes to tackling and especially when you get into, all hands on deck football. And so Patrick and USA Football are teaming up. They're going to have a couple clinics throughout the Kansas City area to help coaches. And they're also Mahomes, through his Mahomes Foundation, which I love the name of that. I love the whole Mahomes thing. He is donating $2,000 to each of the 15 area youth leagues within the region, which again, I just think it's fantastic. So way to go, Patrick, for being all in on the city that shows you so much love and kind of giving it back in your own way, in a way that I think it's gonna trickle down, right? It all starts from the top down. So by coaching up these coaches, they'll be able to coach up future NFL stars.
It's very cool. And Shannon, it's something you don't think about. And you're right. You just said it. A great coach can really change your life in the same way a great teacher can change your life. And conversely, you think about this, if somebody wasn't a very good coach and didn't know how to teach kids well or relate to kids, or maybe discouraged a kid very, very early on, that kid might not be, committing to, in this case, football or whatever the sport may be, or in something that child could excel in, and just realize that, hey, not everybody out of the gate is, one of the greatest players to ever play the game. So I just think it's something you don't think about. We talk about youth sports and we talk about players. And I know sometimes there's those bad stories about parents getting out of control in the stands, or getting on a referee or all the referees when they shouldn't. But the coaches are key, and and God love them. So many of them, it's they're giving from their heart. They're doing it because they love doing it. But to empower them and give them as many of the tools as you can possibly give them to be better coaches, I think that's very forward thinking in this case on the part of Patrick Mahomes.
Yes, Yes, way to go, Patrick. And I'm sure, he had Cliff Kingsbury, who he still is very close with from his time in Texas Tech. And of course, now Andy Reid. I mean, he has had a great crew of coaches just in his career. So I think it's fantastic that he's giving back again in the community that has been behind him ever since he took over the starting role from Alex Smith for the Kansas City Chiefs.
And Alex Smith, so he's completely out of he retired. Is that correct? He's done?
Yeah, where I still don't know what he's doing with his
Okay.
backyard.
That's right. He's going to hang with the kids.
With the hey kids, you're going to love what's coming to the backyard. Still don't know what that's about.
It'll be interesting. You just brought up his name, made me think of him. Just what a journey it was for Alex Smith. Most notably, that horrible leg injury that was viewed by many as potentially life-threatening. And they said, A, this guy could die. B, this guy may not walk again or may not walk well again. And C, he almost certainly will never play football again, but he did. As we know, he came back and played for the Washington football team last year. So it's going to be just interesting to see. I mean, you talk about an inspirational guy. You brought up Kurt Warner yesterday, who I just love his story. They're making a biopic.
Yeah, the trailer came out yesterday.
Oh, cool. I haven't seen it. Say again, you didn't like it?
So, just the look of it, not even the storyline.
Oh, no. That's too bad. Because, you never know. Is it a low-budget film? Is it not going to be handled well? But I love the Kurt Warner story as a guy who overcame being a long shot and overcame adversity. And even though the movie may suck, the biopic that's in the works and the trailer is out. But, again, Alex Smith's another one of these guys who, and in addition to overcoming the physical challenge that he had after that catastrophic injury, another guy who, unlike, some of these quarterbacks that we've heard about lately, like Joe Flacco says, I don't want to be a mentor to anybody. I'm Joe Flacco. Don't you know who I am? I'm here to play. I'm not here to help anybody out. And as you mentioned, Shannon, Alex Smith was there. He saw the writing on the wall. They drafted Patrick Mahomes. They obviously were banking on Patrick Mahomes being the future of the Kansas City Chiefs. And as a quarterback or as any player, you're getting a big paycheck from this organization, in that case, the Kansas City Chiefs. And we'd all like to be Tom Brady and be the man and have remarkable football careers, but sometimes things change. And if you're a team player, his mission was to do his best to kind of work with, mentor, and coach up Patrick Mahomes. And by all accounts, he did a heck of a job doing it.
Yeah, and that whole transition, I think, happened a little sooner than Kansas was expecting it to, just with him getting injured. But when he was there for Patrick the entire way. And that's what, I was disappointed when he announced his retirement, just because I thought he'd make a great candidate to be backup in Dallas, not only due to his experience, but being that guy he is, that coachable player who has come back from an injury. And Dak, that was a scary injury. And although, all reports are he is 100% and good to go, I'm sure there's still a mental state that he's probably trying to get over, especially once things actually get going here. And I just thought Alex Smith would be a great guy to have there. Now, I don't know. It'll be interesting with Hard Knocks to see if they highlight any of the backups at all, like Ben DiNucci or Garrett Gilbert.
Oh, God.
I'm still now in the hopes that somehow Nick Foles finds his way to Dallas, because I think he would be great. And it'd be redemption for him, because the last time he was on Hard Knocks, he was let go over the phone from Coach Fisher.
There you go.
And that was just horrible. And then he goes on to win a Super Bowl, but
And Nick Foles, a Texas kid, I got to believe he grew up a Cowboys fan. I would hope he was raised well by Texas parents to be a Cowboys fan as a kid.
And that as much as he loves Philadelphia for his time that he's spent there, that he, deep in his heart, he is a Cowboy.
Yes. And I mean, it's been a thing. I mean, it's common sense, but it's been a pet peeve for me all those years. Shannon, the Cowboys had Cooper Rush as the backup quarterback. I just think if you really believe you've got a quality football team that could go to the Super Bowl and will go to the playoffs. And I think as horrendous as that defense was a year ago for the Dallas Cowboys, I think you and I believe, especially in the NFC East, the Cowboys have an excellent chance to be a playoff team. But you need almost nobody. As much as fingers crossed, we're happy for Dak Prescott that he's back from this injury. You still get banged up, and you still you get knocked out rarely. And it used to be a 16-game season. Now it's a 17-game season. To expect your starting NFL quarterback to make it through 17 games unscathed, I think is foolhardy. You need a good quality backup, and typically, they don't grow on trees. I know that. But so one of the ways to do that is get yourself a good veteran, a guy who started a lot of games in the NFL. A year ago, they had that with the Red Rifle. You don't have that now. I know a lot of people are saying, well, Garrett Gilbert really looked good last year. I'm still not sold on Garrett Gilbert. So a guy like you mentioned, Shannon, if Nick Foles, a guy who not only has a lot of starts in the NFL, but took a team to the promised land when he was forced into action in Philadelphia. My God, that would be a coup. That would be a great, great backup quarterback for the Cowboys if he somehow became available.
Yeah, because like you said, the Cowboys, not just from the quarterback position, but everywhere else, especially if the defense gets a Super Bowl run, right? I mean, Carson Wentz having an MVP season, he gets knocked out, but they have a great team around him. So you bring in a more mediocre quarterback and things are still clicking for them, right?
Yeah.
You don't have that major drop off. And sometimes if the quarterback truly is the star of the team and is the one that makes everything happen, well, you lose him and then you're left for dead at that point. So I think, we talk about the major drop off between a starting quarterback and then the others. There is a crop of like that middle vet guy who is great at being a backup, because I think there's even a huge drop off between a backup and a guy who somehow is on a roster.
Yes.
Should be a practice squad member.
Well, and a great example, we've talked about him a lot, Colt McCoy. Colt McCoy many, many times when he's played quarterback in the National Football League has been very effective. For whatever the reason, some guys don't break through and become the game in, game out, multi-year starter in the NFL. That hasn't been in the cards for Colt McCoy, but high football IQ, very effective when brought into action when you need him. I think that's what you need. I obviously, I don't see that yet in Garrett Gilbert or in Ben DiNucci or in Cooper Rush, the three guys coming into camp vying for backup quarterback for the Cowboys.
Here you go, Ben DiNucci. You've got Hard Knocks. Your whole thing wasn't you last season.
Oh, man.
You got 5 weeks to prove it on a TV show.
Yeah, I think Ben DiNucci is pretty much dead man walking. Even Cooper Rush at least has been in that system and for whatever the reason survived as a backup quarterback in that system for many, many years. I know he was kind of out of the mix last year and then brought back after the multiple injuries at quarterback. So going to be fascinating. And of course, we talk about it a lot. Hard Knocks, the Dallas Cowboys, the featured team on Hard Knocks this year. So we will talk more NFL football. We'll talk more Dallas Cowboys. Got to dive back in, and we will, into the NBA Finals. Game number 2 tonight in Phoenix. It's on ABC television at 8 o'clock. Phoenix Suns, they're up 1-0 over the Milwaukee Bucks. Will Giannis be a little better? I mean, heck, he had 20 points and 17 rebounds, a double-double in game 1. But per game, as Giannis comes back, will he be able to be more of the Giannis that we're used to? I mean, obviously, if Milwaukee evened this series at 1-1 tonight, we got a brand new series. Even if Phoenix goes up 2-0, don't forget Brooklyn was up 2-0 on this Milwaukee club, so anything's possible. Sports update, top of the hour, another $1,000 cash giveaway in the next segment. She's Shannon, I'm Chris, with you till 9 on the Chris Duel Show. Good morning, Beth Settle. Welcome in, Beth. Travis, Jesse, good morning. Tracy Bogert, Hector, Ralph Balderas, Jason, Steve, Lucinda, welcome in, everybody. Yeah, Travis, I agree with you. Danucci sure did look horrible last year. Okay, I need to record some spots here. I'm going to see if I can bang that out here in just a sec. Good morning, Beth Settle. Wow, listen to that. I was in queue there, and Facebook runs a little bit behind schedule. Okay, so I'm going to see. Let's see, let me put that there. All right, I'm going to record some spots. I'm not going to subject you to this, so I'm going to mute my mic. I'll be off mute in a second. Carl Fisher, welcome in. Back here off of mute after I bang out some of these spots. All right. Good morning, John Williams. All right. Let's see. There's that.
Knowing how agents work, they ask for the world.
I know.
But we give them just the country.
Okay. Yeah. I know. I just wanted to manage those expectations. I can't do.
Is that your girlfriend?
Who?
Oh, sorry. The girl that was just on the show.
I didn't know who you were looking at. You know, what can I tell you? Thank you.
I'm watching you, man.
Ah,
How's your mother?
she's doing well. She'll be 98 next month. Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
My daughter, who lived in New York, used to be a diver in high school.
Yeah.
And she called me yesterday telling me that one of her fellow divers died Monday night. She had taken her son back to her ex-husband, or the father of her son.
Okay.
She was coming back. This up in New Braunfels. It was raining big
Oh
time.
my God.
She told me that she heard the report was that she was driving over an overpass and she drove off the overpass.
Oh God.
So,
That's
it must
horrible.
have been blinding rain, you know, 'cause we had some of that
Yeah.
the other day. So.
Wow. How old is your daughter?
39.
So this woman was around that age.
Right, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's so scary.
Well, when I went out for a run, I went out to run an errand Monday afternoon. In just a matter of minutes, over on Boulevardy Road, just before Wetmore, it had just rained so hard in just a few minutes that the road was almost at flood stage.
Yeah.
At that point, but it was coming down big time.
Well, and I hear that's one of the problems is when you're caught in that situation, you've driven that road 100 times, so you think I can do this. It's raining, but I can do this. And like when there's water on the road, you think and once your car, in the case of flooding, once your car starts moving and going downstream.
I went hydroplaned, by the way, on the way to the station on the Sunday morning in 1998.
Yeah.
On 410. I was in my minivan that I inherited after my first marriage. And in the middle lane on 410 coming westbound toward the old building in Castle Hills, and all of a sudden I just began hydroplaning. I did a 180. I ended up with the right side of the van hitting the center median. I
Wow.
was going westbound, but I ended up facing eastbound.
Oh my God.
It's a totally helpless feeling when you hydroplane.
I would imagine. Yeah, you're right.
One time only, but that was one time.
Yeah.
Winning, so.
That is scary. Wow. Thanks, man. Here we go. That was David Munoz, the jazz man.
Now, Chris Duel.
The weekend is here. It is Thursday. Shannon, Salty, Sweeney, and I begin the weekend on Thursday. If you have an employer who frowns upon that, just let us know. We'll write you a note. Please excuse Bob. Please excuse Sarah from work on Thursday because we told her on the radio the weekend starts on Thursday. And it does. It's July. It's summer. The weather's usually beautiful, although it's been funky lately. Hopefully the weather will take a turn. It's the Chris Duel Show with Shannon, Salty, Sweeney. Dave Ayler is your soundscape stylist. And yes, once again, in fact, doing my Holmes High School mathematics, probably about 12 minutes away from another contest, the Grand in Your Hand cash contest over the course of 4 weeks. $228,000 is being given away, $1,000 at a time. We do it 12 times throughout the day, both on AM 1300 The Zone and on Ticket 760. Your chance to win $1,000. That'll come up again at 20 after the hour here at 720. And that's when we do it throughout the day on the 20s. So there's that. Hope you win. I figure somebody's going to win. Throw your name in the hat. See if you can win. I hope you do. We take your phone calls if you want to jump in here at any time. The phone number, 800-707-9760. We have a live video stream, so you can see the three of us on video. In fact, in an hour, we'll add a fourth face to the video stream. That'll be Tanner Carlson. We'll talk NFL football and more with Tanner coming up. But number of ways you can access the video stream, either through Facebook. You can join us on either AM 1300 The Zone and or Ticket 760's Facebook page. There's a link via YouTube, via Twitch, and multiple ways as well. You can access the show. A great way is the iHeartRadio app where we sound crystal clear, which is crazy. There's a certain way, Shannon, I just grew up listening to AM radio, and there's a certain way AM radio has sounded all of these years, but I listen on the iHeartRadio app on my Alexa device, my Amazon Echo, and gosh, it sounds like we're in the same room with you when you listen on that, which is a little frightening. Maybe you don't want us in the same room with you, but that's what it sounds like.
Yeah, I was just talking to my coworkers, like the way technology has, changed over so quickly. I mean, we could do this show from the moon. That's what they just said. And I was like, yeah, that's true.
True.
Mike Taylor, our afternoon cohort, he does his show from Hawaii, which is so, you and I, we're just up the road from one another.
Right.
That
would be nice.
Too. I think it's only fair.
We got to find a way to work that out. I tuned into Mike Taylor yesterday, and I was driving around. I was doing an HEB run, so obviously I tune into Mike Taylor, as I should. And he told this story. His wife goes in for a cup of coffee at a coffee place. And you know how they write your name on the coffee? So they say, hey, what's your name? So she pulled in for a cup of coffee. And she goes, and the woman barista says, all right, what's your name? And she goes, Jennifer, because his wife's name is Jennifer. Yeah. And then the barista goes, oh, Karen? And apparently wrote Karen on the cup of coffee. And she's like, said, and Mike Taylor's telling the story. His wife goes, I'm doing a self-check. Did I offend this woman in any way? I didn't talk to her before. Or why is she calling me Karen? It wasn't like she heard me wrong. Yeah. Jennifer sounds nothing like Karen. I would have, I'm not much for confrontation, but these days, and God love anybody who was born with the name Karen, because that's so unfair now that people are using the name Karen as a slur, apparently. But my God, first of all, it was unwarranted based on the story. Secondly, you're going to do that to a customer. You're going to mock a customer.
And for her, like that then puts her in a rough spot because my thing would be like, yeah, I want to speak to your manager about this because that's rude. But then you kind of turn into
a Karen.
And that's just listen, I know it's not the hardest thing in the world being a white female, but sometimes you get caught in the middle of stuff, and those are the conundrums you have to deal with.
Well, and I mean, it sounded like the barista was a woman in this story. I think it was told that. So, I mean, you're right. It's hard enough being a woman in any culture. It's hard enough being a white woman, so a woman's gonna mock another woman like this. It's so weird.
And you just came for a cup of coffee.
Yeah. You just
turned hostile. So
and you're living in Hawaii, the two of you, the barista, and
Ohana.
Just enjoy yourself. Don't be starting trouble, people. I'm just but that was the other point. I think Mike brought that up, and I don't know where that came from. I don't know what of all the names you could choose. Why was it Karen? Why wasn't it Sally? Well, why wasn't it Jane? I have no idea. But for some reason, it became Karen. And I know a number of people named Karen who are wonderful people, and now they have to deal with this. Okay, and now they introduce themselves
by their middle name.
Yeah. Now when they go to get a cup of coffee at a Starbucks, and by the way, this wasn't a Starbucks. I didn't recognize the name of the coffee place, so I'm not indirectly besmirching Starbucks. I can tell you it was not a Starbucks, but
I would guess it's local, seeing as how everything imported already gets
extra
price hike. That go local if I'm in Hawaii.
Yeah, and I didn't recognize what the name of the. So when Mike said the name, I didn't go, oh yeah, I've heard of that. I hadn't heard of it. It was a coffee house. But can you imagine if your name is Karen and you have to go in and order a cup of coffee? Then they go, what's your name? And you go, Karen, and then people look at you and chuckle a little bit.
Or glass half full, you see this as an opportunity to right the wrongs against your name.
Boom.
Against your God-given name.
Yes. And you own it.
I don't know who started this. I don't even know if it was a Karen who started this, or why that name has become attached to a certain demeanor with a woman. But
so weird.
This is your opportunity to right those wrongs.
Yes. You can say, you know what? I am the coolest Karen on earth, and I'm going to change your Karen experience right now. So anyway, it just, Mike Taylor's name came up, and my last time I heard him, he was telling that story yesterday on his show. So that's so crazy. That's so weird. All right, Shannon, tonight, game number 2, Phoenix Suns, Milwaukee Bucks. And even if Milwaukee loses tonight, and they're supposed to, I mean, obviously, Phoenix is at home. In fact, Phoenix is favored by 5.5 is a line I'm looking at. Phoenix by 5.5 tonight. Even if they lose this one tonight and they go down 0-2 and the series goes back to Milwaukee, we will be where the Bucks were against the Brooklyn Nets, who annihilated them for 2 games. We're supposed to destroy them in that series. Obviously, injuries played a factor in that Brooklyn series. Kyrie Irving was banged up. James Harden was banged up. That's 2 of the big 3. But I think if we've learned anything in these NBA playoffs, Shannon, it's like, don't count your chickens until they're hatched, especially if you're the Phoenix Suns, because, and they did, Dario Saric, granted, not one of their big names, one of their role players, but I think he has a torn ACL. He's done. He was injured in game 1, and he's done for the rest of the series, and he'll be out several months. So I think, even if Phoenix goes up 2-0 tonight, and they're expected to, you can't count on anything given the level of injuries we've seen in these NBA playoffs.
The biggest thing for me this playoffs is that we've learned health is wealth.
Yeah.
And the Phoenix Suns are, I would say, the only team, because they did have Chris Paul in that first series get that shoulder injury, right? And then he had the COVID happening. And then you have Devin Booker, who breaks his nose, and it's an adjustment to play with a mask, right? It messes with your sight line.
Yeah.
So they have been really the only team to overcome said injuries and mishaps. And then, you just listed what happened to the Nets, and now we've got what's going on with Giannis and the rest of the Bucks team. We had Kawhi sitting out. I mean, it's been health is wealth in a whole new sense of the word. And for that reason alone, I feel very strongly about Phoenix going forward and getting this done pretty quickly, especially considering what we saw out of Giannis. I don't know how much more he has to give based off of the injury that we saw him have. I know he didn't tear any ligaments, but oh my goodness.
Yeah.
You can't tell me he's not cringing every time he uses that leg.
True. But he is, and God knows how effective he can be, but he is we're hearing treatments around the clock. Obviously, I mean, if you're the Milwaukee Bucks, he's your biggest asset. He's your biggest asset since Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was a Milwaukee Buck in the early 1970s and led the Bucks to their only NBA championship alongside Oscar Robertson. So, but I mean, how frustrating, Shannon, if you are Giannis. The narrative, he's won 2 MVPs. Milwaukee, a couple of times in the last 3 years, has won 60 games, but did not deliver the goods, did not achieve what they were expected to achieve in the playoffs to get to the finals, which they had not until now, and then win the darn thing. And here you are, you're Giannis, arguably, I mean, not even arguably, you're one of the 5 best players in the NBA, but you're arguably maybe the best player in the NBA, especially factor in his youth in comparison to LeBron James and in comparison to Kawhi. And I know as I hear myself say that, Kevin Durant is probably even better than Giannis, so maybe number 1 and number 2. But Giannis is in the top 5 or the top 3 as best players in the league. But to be so close and to be so successful in Milwaukee for the last several years and to be the MVP twice, and here you are, here's your chance. And it's not like you're going up against a full power Lakers team with LeBron James and Anthony Davis. It's not like you're going up against a full power Clippers team with Kawhi Leonard and Paul George. And going into the season, both of those teams were expected to compete for the Western Conference Championship. You're going against the Phoenix Suns, and as good as they are, and they're very good and very consistent, and you just mentioned 2 of their best players, Devin Booker and Chris Paul, they still don't have that championship pedigree yet. So if you're Giannis, if you were fully healthy, I think you've got to believe you can beat this team, but you've got that horrific injury to your knee, and you just can't go at full strength. It's got to be crazy frustrating for Giannis in this case.
Yeah, I agree for the most part, except for, they kind of stumbled their way into the finals here, right? With what happened with the Nets and all of those injuries, and then they take on the Hawks, and the Hawks are looking pretty solid. And then Trae Young gets injured, and he's not what we're used to seeing. He's not the ice Trae. And so from that perspective, I don't know how much confidence you have if you're truthful with yourself, knowing that you were kind of gifted this position in the playoffs in a way.
Yeah.
Not to take anything away from them.
Right. Yeah. I think they would argue. I mean, those are hard. That's a harsh term. You were gifted this position in the NBA Finals. But I mean, you're saying it, and I'm sure there's a lot of people who believe it. And I mean, coming into the playoffs, everybody believed it was the Brooklyn Nets championship to take or to lose. And then, as we talked about, injuries and the other team that was expected was the Philadelphia 76ers. So a lot of people ranked your favorites to come out of the East as 1, 2, 3, Brooklyn, Philly, and then Milwaukee. So yeah, I mean, there's an argument to be made, as you just said. They were kind of gifted this position. The planets aligned and things kind of fell into place for the Milwaukee Bucks.
What do you say about some cash, Chris?
Let's do that.
Giving away money.
It is 7:20. It is time for the Grand in Your Hand cash contest. We do it 12 times a day here on both stations, AM 1300, The Zone, and Ticket 760. Somebody's going to win it. You're going to get a keyword right now and a place to text that keyword. Good luck. Here it comes.
Now, your chance to win $1,000. Text the nationwide keyword grand to 200-200. You'll get a confirmation text and info. Standard data and message rates apply in this nationwide contest. That's grand to 200-200.
It is a grand. It would be grand if you win the grand, and as grand as what is being given away. The grand in your hand cash contest, as I mentioned, 12 times throughout the day. On the 20s, be listening on the 20s for your chance to win, and they're giving away the money, $228,000 over 4 weeks, so it may as well be you. I hope you can win some cash. Speaking of the NBA, Shannon, and we were talking NBA Finals, some dudes who have multiple NBA Finals and NBA championships are on a card, a rookie card. It's called the Ultra Rare Rookie Card. It hits an auction. It's a 40-year-old card that has 3 players on it. And by the way, I'm looking at TMZ Sports right now. TMZsports.com has a photo of it if you want to look at it. But on the card is Larry Bird, Magic Johnson, and Dr. J. Julius Erving. And it is a Topps scoring leader card that debuted in the 1980-1981 season. It is on the auction block at SCP Auctions. It is expected to get right around $500,000 for this basketball card. It still blows my mind, Shannon. You know, as a kid, I would go to the convenience store. It was like 10 cents. You'd buy your little pack of baseball cards, football cards, basketball cards. You get a really bad, god-awful piece of bubble gum in it, which I never understood, that little square, rectangular, awful piece of bubble gum. But you were a kid. You were stupid. It was gum. You'd put anything in your mouth back in those days, which is a little frightening. So you ate the gum, you chewed on the gum, and you looked at the baseball cards. And little did you know that one of those might someday be worth $500,000. It's mind-blowing to me.
I mean, I think about that a lot with just childhood toys that I had growing up. Like, I had one of the original from Toy Story, the Woody dolls.
Yes.
And I think now that you can't even find them anymore.
Yeah.
Mom, why did you give that away? Like, I can't believe it. And then you think of just a trading card. It's a piece of paper.
Yeah.
That's so crazy to me. And that Target is having to limit people and pull stuff from their shelves, and it's you can't be waiting in line anymore. And I'm curious now that the world is kind of opening back up. People are getting out of their homes. They maybe don't have as much time on their hands.
Yes.
If it'll die down a little bit, because the idea, right, with these cards is that they keep going up in value.
Mm-hmm.
But like most things, wouldn't it ebb and flow a little bit based on the demand? And if people are back to doing their other hobbies they were used to doing, wouldn't this kind of die down?
That's a great point. During the pandemic, when we were all locked in and locked down, in this case, cards, sports cards, football, baseball, basketball cards, their memorabilia, and I would imagine people, including high-end people, millionaires who have great sports memorabilia collections, were looking at what they had going, I can't go out. I can't go to dinner. I can't go to a game, but I'm stuck at home. So let me peruse my incredible collection. And you make a great point that's something you can, in a pandemic, be alone with. And I do wonder now, you were at the Austin FC game last night at Q2 Stadium. We're getting back out. I wonder if prices are going to go down, or if everybody who were locked in with all of their memorabilia, is just hell bent on getting big prices I wonder if the inflation that took place will continue, even though now we're back out and about a little bit.
And you throw in, NFTs and the virtual cards, or like short little video shots that they're now trading online. What's the value of having something digital versus something that you can put your hands on? I personally don't like clutter, right? Like, people don't print their photos anymore. They're all digital. So it's gonna continue to be interesting. And it always fascinates me just how much these kinds of things end up selling for.
See, and when the big meteor hits, And I'm not talking about the meteor that takes the entire planet out, like the dinosaurs, where we all go away. But assuming there's like a calamity, these digital things like the NFTs that you talk about, at least if somebody socked away their baseball cards into a big hermetically sealed, very, very special, safe or a vault or a special container, if there was a calamity or a catastrophe of some kind or a natural disaster that befell the planet or where you live, I mean, that could live. If our electronics go out as we know them, then all your digital stuff, your cute little NFT that you paid $2,000 for when Dak Prescott leads the Cowboys to their next Super Bowl, that could go away.
Yeah.
Whereas if you got something on paper that could survive.
It makes me think of like people say, oh, when you don't bring your money with you when you're dead, right? So enjoy it while you can. But I don't know what enjoyment you get out of spending that much money on a card that you can't, like, if you're not gonna turn around and sell it for a profit later,
Yeah.
use that money to go have an experience. Or something that you'll actively use in your day-to-day life. Because a card, I don't. Are you looking at it every day, or you like kiss it before you go to bed at night? Like, what's the deal?
But I do think, and as an old guy now, Shannon, one of the cool things about a card or a piece of memorabilia is it takes you back. I talk about I've got this Pepsi bottle that was never opened that I bought in 1972. It's a Dallas Cowboys first ever Super Bowl.
We looked it up on eBay.
Yeah, right. And again, it's not even worth that much on eBay. But for me, it like takes me back to 1972. I remember the HEB where I bought it. And so it reignites that memory and it takes me back to being a kid. Go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say I get that, but you didn't pay an arm and a leg for it.
No, I paid like 15 cents for it.
Last night, walking out of the game, they have custom posters for each Austin FC home game, and I snagged one. And I know that we lost, and so I'm not gonna remember it for that. But I am going to frame this poster because it's a work of art done by a local artist.
Sure.
And it will forever be my first official Austin FC game of their inaugural season. So I get it
Boom.
from that perspective. But you and I didn't go purchase that thing after the fact for thousands of dollars.
Exactly. So it means something to you, whereas the little Pepsi Cowboys bottle means something to me. I agree. If you're the one, I mean, that cool work of art, you may pass that on to a child or a grandchild, or, you may be at a game when you're 70 going, I was here the first season and here's the cool little work of art that I got that night. So yeah. And I love that stuff. And the older you get, take it from me, get off my lawn, the more stuff like that means to you if it's a part of your past and it brings back a cool memory. Speaking of cool memories, Shannon's Salty Shakedown will create memories in your life. That is coming up, along with the memories of sports history and sports birthdays. We'll do that coming right up. We'll see what else is popping in the world of sports. Tanner Carlson going to talk Dallas Cowboys and NFL with us, as we are getting closer and closer to Cowboys training camp, NFL training camp, Hard Knocks, and more. We are with you till 9 o'clock talking sports. Dave Ayler, your soundscape stylist. She's Shannon Salty Sweeney. I'm Chris. Thanks for hanging out with us on the Chris Duel Show. Travis says, I'm just glad the Clippers got Kawhi. Yeah. And again, I've said this. If I'm the owner of the Clippers, Ballmer, I mean, you're spending billions and you're going into a new stadium. Do you want to hang your hopes on Kawhi? Because he will do this again based on his history. I mean, he's a great player, but I mean, he doesn't bring you great PR, I don't think. I mean, is he a fan favorite compared to if you had a Chris Paul or if you had a player who had a personality? I don't know. And granted, I'm biased because I don't like him. But there's that. Yeah, Travis, I will have to track down that story on Ed Garza's Urban Soccer Leadership Academy. That sounds cool. Warren Wheeler, good morning. Oh, and I got to check something here real quick. John, I'm up against the, we're back, so I'm going to have to check Facebook Messenger at the top. I just saw you write that, and we're back, so I don't have time at the moment. Welcome back. It is the Chris Duel Show with Shannon Salty Sweeney. Moments away from her salty shakedown. You know what that means. If you're driving your car, both hands on the wheel, breathe deeply, chant your mantra if you have one. It's always good. We want you to center yourself and not drive into, oncoming traffic or anything like that. Because sometimes they can be intense. They can be quite salty. Just letting you know that. Coming up, Shannon's salty shakedown. Before that, though, oh, and by the way, Tanner Carlson going to join us just after the top of the hour. We'll go deeper into the Dallas Cowboys, and who knows, maybe yesterday was, I do believe, Global Forgiveness Day. Maybe he forgives Tim Tebow and has gotten over his Tim Tebow issues. We'll find out. Before the salty shakedown, though, sports birthdays and this day in sports history. Whoa! July 8th, 1965. Little Joe Morgan, who would later be a multi-World Series champion with the Cincinnati Reds and a big-time television broadcaster, passed away not long ago. Joe Morgan, on this day in 1965, became the first Houston baseball player to hit 6 hits in a game. And that's right, before the Houston Astros were the Houston Astros, they were the Houston Colt 45s. That would go over big today. Maybe it would, actually, given the climate. So way to go, little Joe Morgan, on this day. And for all you Astros haters, sorry. Astros are on fire. On this day in 1973, the New York Mets were 12 and a half games back in the National League. They were 12 and a half games out of first. They would go on to win the pennant and go on and win the World Series. So no matter where your baseball team is today on July 8th, if they're 12 and a half back or better, they got a shot because the Mets did it in 73. The amazing Mets. This day in 1978, Wimbledon. Bjorn Borg of Sweden wins his 3rd straight Wimbledon crown, beating American Jimmy Connors 6-2, 6-2, 6-3. Borg versus Connors and Borg versus McEnroe gave us a lot of Wimbledon excitement over the years. This day in 1985, Marge Schott becomes the owner and CEO of the Cincinnati Reds. How did that work out? Not so well. Marge Schott would go on to say some nice things about Nazis and Hitler, which would eventually get her out of Major League Baseball. She was a bit of a whack nut. This day in the year 2000, Wimbledon once again, this time Venus Williams wins her first career Grand Slam single, beating fellow American Lindsay Davenport 6-3, 7-6. Way to go, Venus Williams. And finally, on this day in 2015, the Washington football team had its trademark vacated and revoked on the grounds that it may cause offense to Native Americans. You think? I hate the Washington football team. Sports hate. And the owner, Daniel Snyder, I can do without him. That's this day in sports history. How about some sports birthdays? Born on this day, July 8th, 1931, one of the biggest sports broadcasting pioneers ever, Roone Arledge. Roone Arledge, president of ABC Sports. He created ABC's Wide World of Sports, and he created Monday Night Football. Pretty darn good. He was also in charge of ABC News for many years. Roone Arledge, born on this day in 1931. He died in the year 2002. Born on this day in 1935, Texas Aggie Heisman Trophy winning back and tight end John David Crow was born on this day in 1935. I do believe he is the only Aggie other than Johnny Manziel to win the Heisman. Won the Heisman in 1957. Do I have that right? I think I have that right. Aggies will jump all over me if I had that wrong, so let me know if I had that wrong. I'm not an Aggie historian, but I play one on the radio sometimes. John David Crow was born in Marion, Louisiana on this day in 1935. He passed away in 2015. And your final sports birthday, number 58 for the Pittsburgh Steelers, Hall of Famer. I never liked him, Jack Lambert. Born on this day in 1952. He body slammed Cliff Harris to the turf in Super Bowl 10 when Roy Jarrella, their kicker, missed a field goal, and Cliff Harris went and patted Roy Jarrella on the helmet. Jack Lambert picked him up and slammed him into the ground. Dirtbag Jack Lambert. Cliff Harris goes into the Pro Football Hall of Fame early this August. And finally, your final sports birthday goes to Everly. Everly, the daughter of regular listener Kevin Monk. Everly turns 4. And her father is a great dad having her listen to this show. Happy birthday, Everly Monk. 4 years old. She actually turned 4 yesterday, and Kevin messaged me to give her a birthday shout out yesterday, and I didn't see that until the show ended. So my bad. So exactly. Keep them young. Teach them young. Thank you, Everly. Happy 4th birthday yesterday, Everly. As you will learn, you can celebrate that birthday for multiple days, and we celebrate it today.
Yeah.
What do you got?
The month is young.
The month is young.
All months.
Exactly. And the monk is young. Her last name, Monk. It's a cool name.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Wasn't there a TV show called Monk with a detective?
I think so.
I think there was. That's a cool name. And Everly, that's a very cool name. Happy birthday, Everly. All right. Those are your sports birthdays and your sports history. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, including Everly, here it is. You've been waiting. Your wait is now rewarded. It is time for your morning salty shakedown.
We are in the summer months, which means we are into summer television, and a popular show that appears each summer is America's Got Talent. Simon Cowell, Heidi Klum, Howie Mandel, and I believe this season Sofia Vergara as your talent judges, and I believe Terry Crews as host of the show. A guy making headlines who auditioned for the show has a connection to Kobe Bryant. I'm going to let you listen to the clip here, Chris, and then we will discuss.
Okay.
And what's your name, please?
My name is Matt Mauser.
Where are you from, Matt?
I'm from Huntington Beach, California.
How old are you?
I'm 51.
You look good.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, Matt, so why AGT? What are you going to do today?
I'm a singer. And I'm here because my wife and I, we're both school teachers. And we retired from teaching so that I could do the music full time. And she got the opportunity to coach girls basketball with Kobe Bryant. But on January 26th of 2020, I lost my wife in the same helicopter crash that killed Kobe Bryant.
Wow, I'm so sorry.
How can I just let you walk away? Let you leave without a chance. When I stand here taking every breath for you. Mm-hmm. You're the only one who really knew me at all. Just take a look at me now. 'Cause there's just this empty space. There's nothing left here to remind me. Just a memory of your face. Take a look at me now. 'Cause I'll still be standing here. And you coming back to me is against all odds. And that's what I've got to face. Take a look at me now. Take a look.
Matt, so let me ask you a question. So what would you like to happen if you did well on this show?
I would like to, that's a good question. I haven't gotten that far. I would like to make sure that my children see that in spite of the grief that we've been through this year, and that grief is not going to define who we are as a family, and that my children see that you have to find joy in life and you have to continue. If this can anyway help my children to chase their dreams, then I'll take it.
Chris, we have to remember that when we talk about Kobe Bryant and that awful helicopter crash, that there were so many other families affected, and Matt certainly being one of them. His children were there as he performed on America's Got Talent. He did get yeses from all 4 judges, so he will be moving on, but incredibly moving. And what a lesson and what a great dad this guy is. I don't know if you watch AGT, Chris, but there's always some inspirational stories. This is definitely one that I can get behind this season.
Okay, first of all, I didn't think there was any crying allowed on the Salty Shakedown. My God, how moving! You're right, absolutely sublime. God love him. Wow, that was powerful, and yeah, you got to love this guy, able to do that and pay tribute to his wife and his family. In such a public way and in such a creative and beautiful way. Wow, that blew me away.
Yes, Matt Mauser, he is moving on to the next round of America's Got Talent. Chris, we've been talking a lot of Astros because they have been killing it.
Woo! Sorry, haters.
I mean,
sorry.
Haters gonna hate. And as we know, throughout their time this season, they've gotten a lot of pushback, right, from other fans, from other players, whether it's some intentional quote unquote balls to a batter, or trash cans being thrown onto the field, this, that, and the other, bad signs in the stands. Well, an Astros fan decided that he was going to take a turn. And of course, the Astros right now in a series with the A's, and yesterday an Astros fan threw a block of cheese outside of the bullpen for the A's. This cheese had the picture of former Astros pitcher, I believe you pronounce it Mike Fier.
Fires. He it doesn't look like fires, but he pronounces it fires. It's weird.
So the cheese had a rat on it, a picture of Mike Fiers, and quotes like, "The rat is hungry. Where have you been lately? Come out and play ball." Matt, part of that World Series winning Astros team, He's been with Detroit and now with the A's. He has not been pitching. He's on a 6-day injured list. So this Astros fan decided to take a shot at him because I think Matt is now, or excuse me, Mike is now best known as the guy who kind of blew the whistle on the Astros when he reported to The Athletic kind of the details of how they, I guess, cheated,
allegedly,
that World Series run, and it kind of triggered the MLB's investigation into the Astros. So I love it personally. Like, there's no harm, right? It's all fun and games. I'm sure Mr. Fires didn't appreciate it, but I think it's hilarious. And after the Astros have been through all that they've been through, I can't imagine that some of those players didn't get a little smirk. And oddly enough, I mean, Mr. Mike Fires has yet to pitch against his former team since leaving. I can't imagine why.
Yeah, he was the snitch. He started the whole thing by going public, and I'm with. I think it's funny. Nobody got hurt. It was creative. Block of cheese with a rat on it, and Mike Fire's name. I think it's very funny. Yeah, good. And Astros fans, this was their turn to kind of claw back after the Astros have been slammed for 2 seasons now after this.
With all the games they've played against the A's so far this season, I would have thought maybe something like this might come sooner, but I'm glad it happened, no matter how late it happened in the season. All right, finally today, you've been trying to be the bigger person. You've been trying to get over this Kawhi hump.
Yes, I'm working on it.
And so I'm trying to help you.
Thank you.
I'm trying to be that friend for you. And Saquon Barkley just joined X2 Performance, which is a company that Mr. Kawhi Leonard is also a face of, and it is energy drinks and pre-workout supplements. So, sir, I'm not big into those things, but if you wanted to support your guy Kawhi, to show you are the bigger man, you yourself could head to CVS and buy the drink for $2.29, pre-workout shot for $6.99, or pre-workout for $37.99. I've never been into energy drinks. I don't understand the pre-workout. Like, people love to take videos of them like shooting the powder, right? And it's just absolutely disgusting. And for all the athletes like LeBron and how he talks about all the meals he eats and what he eats in a day, I can't imagine. I mean, pre-workout kind of sounds like cheating, but it is interesting to see as we talk a lot of NIL, right? And all these college kids get their money. Saquon Barkley investing money to then get money along with Kawhi in this X2 Performance brand. Like I mentioned, if you, sir, wanted to support Kawhi and Saquon in this endeavor, you go ahead on to your local CVS.
Shannon, I'm not there yet. In fact, I haven't I haven't reached full forgiveness for Kawhi yet. I realize I should and I must, and I need to let this go. I need to release this darkness from my heart and my soul. And I'm working on it. And we said yesterday was Global Forgiveness Day. I got a little closer, but I'm not giving him my money yet. Not yet.
All right. I just
give it to the Spurs.
My job for you is just to make you aware.
And I appreciate that. You're helping. Yes. Thank you.
Today's Salty Shakedown.
Wow. A salty shakedown like no other. And again, Shannon, I am still just reeling from that audio. Matt, the husband of a basketball coach, and his wife who was lost with the others in that Kobe Bryant helicopter crash. That was powerful, moving audio. I didn't see that coming. And those of you who listen and are big fans of the Salty Shakedown, my goodness gracious, that was amazing. All right. Speaking of amazing, Tanner Carlson, who loves Tim Tebow about as much as I love Kawhi Leonard. We'll talk some Dallas Cowboys, NFL football, and more with Tanner Carlson. He will join us next. You can join us. You're always welcome on the phone lines, 800-707-9760. Lots more to talk about. NBA Finals, Olympics, NFL, Astros, and Fuego, and more. She's Shannon Salty Sweeney with you till 9 on the Chris Duel Show. Woo! Woo! Do I have time? I might. Let's see if I can bang out 2 more of these spots real quick. Yeah, Louisa, I'm going to have to go look at that clip. My God, how emotional and wonderful that was. All right, I'm going to mute this so you don't have to deal with me recording, and I tend to screw it up a lot. So I'll be back on audio in a sec. This is a quick mute. All right. I did that. Let's see. File. Exercising like you wish you could, hanging out with the kids or the grandkids, getting outdoors. Here's a question for you. What is exercising like you wish you could, hanging out with the kids or the grandkids, getting outdoors? I need to get the. There he is. I got to grab my tripod, which is right here.
Doing all right this morning?
Yeah, just trying to keep up.
Yeah.
There he is. I got to grab my tripod, which is right here. A few spots I had to record, so I'm trying to
Get that. This was like this. I don't know if that. Probably need to adjust this. I'll mess with it.
What's on your radar? Anything specific you want to talk about?
Man, not really.
Okay.
Guess we can talk.
We'll go, the usual suspects.
Yeah, I'm sure I'll talk about NBA finals and stuff.
Yeah. Mm. We'll go, the usual suspects. Yeah. Mm. You going to be here for that lunch today? Do you know about that? Oh, you're kidding me. That's ridiculous. Okay.
Thanks a lot, man.
I wish I wasn't.
What is it? I don't even know what it is.
Just going to be here for that lunch today. Do you know about that? Like an office lunch.
I mean,
I wish I wasn't.
I delete half the emails that I get.
Yeah, I got to be a little.
Yeah. I delete half the emails that I get anyway, so I could have gotten invited.
You probably did. I think it's everybody. So you probably did. I think it said San Antonio all on the email. So I think you did. So I don't want you to feel. You probably did. Like you weren't.
I got left out, and I'm sticking to it. And that'll be my excuse.
I would have been there.
I would have been there. I just never got
San
the email.
Antonio all on the email. I think you did. I don't want you to feel. Like you weren't. I would have been there.
That's a bad echo.
Yeah. So you've got your thing. Good. So we're beautiful.
But yeah, I get so, every now and then I'll start an audio book or something, or I'll start, and then I have my headphones with me, and then I forget to put them back in my car, or forget to put them where I typically leave them, where I don't forget them.
I know the feeling. Well, and I was even driving today because I'm halfway here this morning, and I thought I wanted to bring mine in case you forgot. And I'm going, God, I forgot to bring mine. I later found out I did. Luckily, I've accumulated a few sets over the years. So if I'm smart, I'll always keep one in the bag here. But I'm not that smart. So
they kind of start becoming like masks, and you just got one in your office desk.
Yeah.
You got a pair at home. You got a pair in your car. That's kind of how I am with headphones. And just that happened to be that one day where I didn't have them anywhere. Cold chill. Yeah. I don't really have anything in terms of kind of a dead period.
yeah.
Other than the great thing is if this series goes to 6 games, and it'll end right at the perfect time for Cowboys training camp. There will be no break.
Oh, beautiful.
There will be no dead time.
Do you have the date on Cowboys training camp? Let me see. Olympics is 23rd. Let me see. Dallas Cowboys training camp.
I want to say 22nd.
I should have that memorized. Here it is. Come on, Google.
18th.
None of them are. It's not in the. Come on. 22nd. First day of practice. Opening ceremonies on Saturday the 24th.
Now, Chris Duel.
The weekend has begun. That's your big headline. Shannon and I begin the weekend on Thursday, and we invite you to begin your weekend with us on a Thursday. And on this Thursday, July 8th, we welcome in Tanner Carlson, our resident Dallas Cowboys and Texas Longhorns freak, although he competes with Shannon for Longhorn Freak title and bragging rights, and we use the term freak in the most glowing terms, such as the Greek freak, who we might even get into him as well. Chris Duel show with Shannon Salty Sweeney. Dave Ayler makes the show go. And when it's Tanner Carlson, we tend to talk Cowboys or Longhorns, occasionally some other things. There's so much going on in the world of sports. And you are already calculating when you want the NBA Finals to end because you don't want it to interfere with your enjoyment of Dallas Cowboys training camp.
Well, I kind of realized, looking ahead, I have a really bad tendency to look at the schedules ahead of time, even if when would game 5 be? When would game 6 be? I just look and circle on my calendar. All right, I need to free up that evening so nothing interferes with my NBA Finals. Things like that. So I'm planning ahead of things. And if my wife had known that I was going to do that with sports and not our personal life, if I put as much effort into planning my schedule ahead of time in my actual personal life and not just sports related, we wouldn't have any problems. But I don't even consider any of that stuff. But no, so the NBA Finals, if it goes to game 6, it will end just in time where there will be no sports drought and lead right into Dallas Cowboys training camp on July 27th.
Well, and also that would be good for Pop. I think there's 3 players, I think 2 on one team, 1 on the other in the NBA Finals who are going to be on the U.S. Olympic team. And those Olympics begin on July 23rd. So I think if it goes 7, then there's a little bit of an overlap for the Olympics as well. So it's going to be very, very interesting to see how that plays out. You mentioned, though, your wife, and you mentioned your love of football, and you put that on the calendar. And I know you're a fantasy football guy also. However, you and your wife in August are going to welcome in your first baby. My God, I wonder how that's going to affect your football season. None at all? You say that with zero reservation.
That baby will be sitting on my lap with the game going on, and we've already bought a football onesie, literally a football, and she will be wearing that with her little booties on, and she will be watching every second of every game with me.
Wow, Shannon, do you think he should have this level of confidence when he has not had a kid yet?
I mean, you're talking to someone who can barely handle children when she's out in public and they're other people's problems. So that's but I think it's a great idea for bonding.
Yeah, put the little changing table if she needs to be changed right there on the coffee table.
Right.
And then all of her, milks and food and anything else that she might need right there within arm's length away. Just don't confuse it with my beer bottle, with her milk bottle.
Yes, be very careful.
We'll be solid. We'll be golden. I see no problems in the future.
Are you going to raise her to be a Dallas Cowboys fan? Well, is that part of the grand plan?
A good idea to
Do
do.
you could traumatize that child.
Do I want her to go through the same trauma that I've been through my entire life?
Best to teach her early that the world is a cruel place.
Yeah, very cruel.
And then it's only up from there.
And it's never fair. It's never fair. Yeah.
See, I was so spoiled. The Cowboys won Super Bowl 6 when I was 11. And then they go to Super Bowl 10 and lose by 4. Then they they win Super Bowl 12 when I was a senior in high school. So I had like an idyllic youth. So they won a Super Bowl when I was in elementary school. They went to another Super Bowl early high school. They win it when I'm a senior. They go back when I'm a freshman in college and lose a close one to Pittsburgh. So I feel, but you and Shannon, I still, it's hard for me to wrap my mind around. You two are hardcore Cowboys fans, but in your adult lives, and even in your childhoods,
Yeah.
you have not experienced a Cowboys Super Bowl championship or any kind of a Cowboys Super Bowl.
I think I ruined my dad's fandom just because I was born in '94. I know, I'm sorry for making everybody feel old. Although that's starting, I'm almost 30. Like that and me.
And that tells you how long it's been since the Cowboys have been to the Super Bowl. Yeah.
Exactly. But yeah, I was born in '94 during the off season. I was born in July of '94. And so that 94-95 season, that was the last time the Cowboys won a Super Bowl. Was that I wasn't even a full year yet. I was like I was like 10 months old whenever they won their Super Bowl. But that was the last time. And so my dad had season tickets. My dad went to all 3 of the Super Bowls in the '90s.
That's so cool.
And he's got the footballs and all the paraphernalia and memorabilia to, say, hey, I was there. He's got pictures. He's got proof of everything.
Yes.
Super big time Cowboys fan, and then never had season tickets. After I was born, never had season tickets again. Obviously, we've never been to a Super Bowl again. So he's just like, after I came around, I think I was just bad luck for the Cowboys ever since.
Wow. If the Cowboys go back to the Super Bowl, obviously you grew
every penny that I have on a ticket. I will have zero money to my name in terms of getting just a ticket.
I agree. I think that's the way it should be.
And who knows when it will ever happen again. I may not be alive for the next one. So I got to take full advantage. If they make one in my lifetime, spend all my life savings on just going to that game.
We talk about the Cowboys with you, and we talk a lot of Dak Prescott. And I think about Tony Romo, and I always tell the story that I was at a party for Drew Pearson when he got into the Ring of Honor, and there were all these Cowboys there. Tony Dorsett was there, and all these fans were like flocking around all these Cowboys, getting photos with them, including me, getting photos with a lot of Cowboys. And I saw a guy at a table alone sipping on his drink, and it was Danny White. And I'm sure there's people who went up and took photos with Danny, but to me, the scene in that moment was, oh my God, Danny White was a great quarterback, and Drew Pearson will tell you that, and he had great numbers and led the Cowboys to 3 consecutive NFC championship games, but he never did what Roger or later Troy Aikman would do, and that's win a Super Bowl or win multiple Super Bowls. Romo never did it. Danny White never did it, and I think Romo and Danny White didn't live up to what is expected of a Cowboys quarterback. How convinced are you that a Super Bowl championship is in Dak Prescott's future?
I'm actually fairly confident. I put that confidence scale on a scale of 1 to 10. I'd say an 8. Is that fair?
Yeah.
Is an 8 fair?
It's you believe what you believe.
I think since he came into the league in 2016, I think he's a top 5 quarterback in terms of win-loss record. Only behind, I believe it's Aaron Rodgers, Patrick Mahomes, Russell Wilson, and maybe Tom Brady.
But all those guys have rings, and all those guys have been to the big dance.
Right. And so that just means that only proves my point even further that Dak should be right there. If Cowboys can put a defense around the guy, he's got the offensive weapons. If they can, like we've been saying time and time again, if the defense is literally just average and holds a team, and I think having a better offense, a more efficient offense with less turnovers, because let's be honest, last year's offense was a turnover machine. I mean, they just turned the ball over left and right and put the defense in terrible positions. I think if the offense can be a little bit more efficient, holding onto the ball, converting on 3rd down, even 4th down, and getting into field goal range, and then just keeping the defense off the field for as long as possible, I think that just in itself will dramatically improve and help this defense out.
Shannon, what about you? How far away do you think Dak Prescott and the Dallas Cowboys are from getting to a Super Bowl?
I feel like we go into every season saying it's win now. All the pieces are there now. And I think I'm in that bucket of if it's going to happen, it'll happen in the next few years. What would you say, Tanner? 8?
I've got a confident level of I've got a confident level of 8 within the next, within Dak's contract with his current contract.
I'm so beaten and battered that it's hard for me to
go
that like I can start every season like, oh, we have a shot at winning the Super Bowl, but to actually sit here and be like, this is our year. And I think still like the question of Aaron Rodgers floating around, him going back to the Packers, I think they are standing in the way of an NFC championship. But if he goes somewhere else, I don't know that he's viewed as much of a threat. I don't know until that is settled. I still am a little whiffy on the Cowboys.
The most important thing for me, and it has been this way for years, is the quarterback position. Look at Dak is the best quarterback in the NFC East, which should, given a healthy 17 game season, should win the division. I would say as long as he's the quarterback and nobody else, say Aaron Rodgers gets traded to Washington or something along those lines. As long as Dak is the best quarterback in the division, Dallas Cowboys should win that division 9 times out of 10.
Yeah.
Given a fluke year. And so that at least puts you into the playoffs with an opportunity for a trip to the Super Bowl. And as long as Dak is the best quarterback in the division, the Cowboys have the best chance in the division to win a Super Bowl. That's just how I view it. And then you look at this season in particular, you look at the quarterbacks that the Cowboys have to face this year, outside of Brady, outside of Mahomes, I really don't think that there's a better quarterback on the schedule than Dak Prescott. And so I think that gives you an advantage over every team. Again, hopefully he's healthy throughout this whole year. And
Yeah.
He doesn't miss any games, but you could maybe make a case for like a Justin Herbert or something like that. But I'm still giving Dak the edge
Sure.
over guys like that. And then maybe Kyler Murray, I still give Dak the edge over Kyler Murray. So as long as you have the best player at the most important position, I think you always have a chance and an opportunity to make that run.
And in the NFC, now that Drew Brees has left New Orleans, using the measuring stick that typically the team with the best quarterback wins that game and has more success in the season. You've got, granted, Brady's there and everybody came back for the Buccaneers as Super Bowl champions. But I think until New Orleans figures out who their quarterback is going to be, I think they're going to take a step back, even though they've got a ton of talent at all kinds of other positions.
I mean, what do you think about that? Do you think Taysom Hill can be a 17-game starting quarterback?
I don't.
So you're going with Winston.
I think there's going to be. I think he's going to go with Winston, Jameis Winston at quarterback. But I think you're going to see a lot more of Taysom Hill. I think there's going to be many more packages for Taysom Hill to try to utilize his talents because he's not. I don't think that he has the talent or the confidence in Jameis Winston, unless I'm hoping Jameis Winston proves everybody wrong. I'm hoping he's a guy who becomes the quarterback we thought he would have coming out of college.
And I understand that Taysom Hill is a different kind of athlete that can kind of do it all, but I think his little gimmick with the Saints is on borrowed time. I think it's about the same strategy as the Wildcat. The Wildcat was such a unstoppable offense for one whole season, and then everybody tried to copy it. Everyone's trying to find their Taysom Hill for their offense, kind of do it all kind of guy, which I think defenses are just going to start figuring them out very quickly, and I don't think that's going to become very effective for much longer.
Yeah, when you limit what he can do within each position, then it becomes very easy to read on the defense. I'm sitting here wondering what the prop bet is over under on Jameis Winston turning the ball over, and what is the number in Sean Payton's mind of, okay, we're done here.
See, I think Sean Payton's kind of been spoiled a lot like Bill Belichick was,
Sure.
And I think it's gonna hit him really hard, not having that quarterback where you know what you're gonna get every single game, every single play, every single practice. You're gonna get that work ethic, and then all of a sudden you just don't have that guy anymore, and you're gonna have to deal with what everybody else in the league, for the most part, has had to deal with, and either rotating a quarterback or putting in the hot player right then and there, or just dealing with mediocre play. A lot of frustrating mistakes, and that's what Jameis Winston is. He is a really fun player to watch, but he is a mistake or an inconsistent mistake waiting to happen.
Well, and hopefully, though, he got that message.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, when he had the god-awful interception numbers his final year at Tampa Bay, and he's had a year now to watch what Drew Brees does and to watch that work ethic and to be with a quarterback whisperer in Sean Payton, whereas, Bruce Arians, as we know, part of his deal is chunk the ball down the field. We're going to go for the big play. We're going to chunk it. Brady obviously can manage that and live with it, even though Brady admitted he was kind of out of his comfort level now and then as a Bruce Arians quarterback last year with the Buccaneers. But, hopefully Jameis Winston sees the light. And I mean, all you have to do, if you cut the 30 interceptions in half, you cut them down to 15 or 12, and you've got a much better prospect. And even with all those interceptions, I think Tampa Bay was knocking on the door of the playoffs, weren't they? Didn't they have a decent year?
They were like
Yeah.
8 or something, 7 and 9,
Yeah.
along those lines. But I'm another storyline, keeping within the same position group at quarterback, but going over to another team. I'm very, very curious what San Fran's going to do with Jimmy Garoppolo. I think that is an opportunity for a lot of teams if he gets a little banged up, or not even if he's not healthy, but if they start say 1-3 and they go to the rookie and Trey Lance, then I think Garoppolo is going to get traded before the trade deadline. And I'm curious. I know contract-wise, Dallas wouldn't be able to absorb that, but he'd be a great backup for any good team right now.
Yeah.
But then again, he could be a good starter for a team. Say Tua doesn't work out at Miami, and Miami's knocking on the door with the great roster that they have, and they were a 10-win team last year. Maybe a trade, with I don't know if Tua to San Fran with Trey Lance is going to work out or anything, but I can see a trade where he gets sent over there and they just work out with what they have. And I know Brian Flores is a defensive guy, but he knows Jimmy Garoppolo from his Patriot days, so maybe he's comfortable with that.
And speaking of the Patriots, does Bill Belichick still have a man crush on Jimmy Garoppolo? I mean, they
goes back.
Yeah, they could be looking for a quarterback, and if you're Kyle Shanahan,
Mac Jones is just terrible, in
right?
Practice, and it just doesn't work out. And then Cam obviously has shown that he's on the decline, and maybe that's an option. So I think there's a lot of different possibilities, a lot of different options out there for a guy like Garoppolo, or guys, teams that are just looking for someone, a placeholder, a Band-Aid, a Teddy Bridgewater type of a guy.
You just mentioned a couple of rookie quarterbacks in the NFL. And of course, the rookie quarterback is Trevor Lawrence with the Jacksonville Jaguars, new head coach there in Urban Meyer, and a team that not long ago was in the AFC Championship game against the New England Patriots. What are your expectations for Jacksonville under a new head coach, Urban Meyer, and with Sunshine, the golden boy, Trevor Lawrence at quarterback?
I'm very interested to see what Urban Meyer's going to do. He kind of did the old Mike McCarthy thing and just kind of brought some buddies along for his coaching staff. Now, I know Urban Meyer's kind of the dead serious, the drill sergeant type of a coach, where he's very strict, his way's the highway. So I don't know if his coaching staff's going to be able to get away with some of the buddy tendencies that we tend to see. But I just don't know. I guess we saw Nick Saban struggle a whole lot whenever he went to the NFL. It's a different game. You're dealing with grown men, not kids. So I think you have to have a different approach. I don't think that drill sergeant mentality works unless you have shown and proven yourself in the NFL like a Bill Belichick has, and winning those Super Bowls. And he has no record in the NFL. So I'll be interested to see. I don't foresee any type of issues with Trevor Lawrence. I think Trevor Lawrence is going to be just fine. I am very cautious about giving Urban Meyer, too much credit too early.
Going to be interesting to see. Shannon, your thoughts on Trevor Lawrence and Jacksonville? High expectations? Should we have high expectations? He's a rookie. It was a bad team a year ago. Is it going to be just a rough start for him at quarterback?
I kind of view this like I'm viewing Austin FC right now. Almost like they are brand new. They are born again. They have the names, of course, but they're going to need time. I think it would be a huge surprise for them to even win that division. I don't think they'll get last. I think the Texans got that.
Oh God.
That up. But I would pick the Colts to win that division and to come out. So I'm not very high expectations.
Yeah, I was actually going to say, I'm going to jump out on a limb and say that Jacksonville will not get dead last in their division. I will say that much. I think that they get 4 or 5 wins maybe and finish second in that division, or second, but third in that division behind Tennessee and behind Indianapolis. I think the Texans are going to be the worst team. I think they're going to own the number 1 pick of the draft next year.
And do they have it this year finally? If they get did they not trade that pick away? I hope.
Probably did. I don't
God,
think they have a first or second.
they're so awful.
That would probably mean that Miami would have the number 1 pick
let's hope not.
Oh,
For,
I can't believe I forgot completely that they don't even have a draft.
It's part of their charm.
there, yeah. I mean,
Texans.
for the sake of the state of Texas, and I know we're hardcore Cowboys fans, but I so want the Texans just be relevant once again.
Did I tell you about the story when the Oilers were up against Buffalo like 38-0 in the second half?
The Frank Reich game,
Frank
yeah.
Reich game? My dad had purchased an all Texas Super Bowl.
Oh
hat.
my God, that's my dream. Is an all Texas Super Bowl.
He had a Houston Oilers Dallas Cowboy hat.
Oh my God.
And so he says he wished he would have kept it. I wish he would have kept it. How cool would it be just
Yeah.
that vintage hat? But he burned it. After that game,
Yeah.
he was so upset. And he's a lifelong diehard Cowboy fan, but
Yeah.
he was rooting so hard for the Oilers. And then they just completely collapsed in that game. And he burnt the hat. He was so upset.
It would have been so much fun.
Yeah.
It would have been so much fun. Tanner Carlson is so much fun on Twitter. You can follow him at Tanner Carlson 20. What have you been tweeting about lately? What are we going to find on your Twitter feed?
Really been tweeting
It's Cowboys 22nd. How many days away till the 22nd? We're 14 days away from Cowboys training
2
camp.
weeks away from Cowboys training camp, so probably a little bit more. I'll get into it a little bit.
We expect your roster breakdown. We expect your final Cowboys
I
roster.
tweet something today about the Tampa Bay Lightning winning their second back-to-back Stanley Cup.
Oh, we did hockey the first 90 minutes of this show. We love hockey.
Nice. So Kucherov, he had a press conference after the game. He was shirtless, probably already drunk, and he basically called out the NHL for not giving their team any recognition. Like the MVP award went to somebody on Las Vegas. He called him out. He said, "We have the best player. There's no reason why he shouldn't have won it." And then he started calling out the Montreal Canadian fans about how they acted when they won one game in the Stanley Cup, series. They won that series in 5 games. He said they acted like they had already won it. Oh, he called everybody out, and I said, if we get more athletes in every sport to call players and call their league and call other fans out, it would be a much better world in the media world. It would be
I will now have to go YouTube that post game.
I have it on my Twitter. So go to my Twitter page
at Tanner Carlson 20.
You can listen to that.
I will do that after the show, and I will watch that video. I want to see that. All right.
Good stuff.
Outstanding, Tanner, as always.
Appreciate it.
We'll pick this up again with you next week, and we'll be days, so almost single digits by then from Dallas Cowboys training camp. Lots more coming up. We'll talk some more football, and we'll get you ready for game number 2 of the NBA Finals. Phoenix, Milwaukee, game 2 tonight. We'll talk about that and a whole lot more. She is Shannon Salty Sweeney. Dave Ayler making the show go with you till 9 on the Chris Duel Show. Outstanding, sir.
Cool. Yeah, I know we didn't have a whole lot to talk about.
Well, I mean, once we get rolling on Cowboys, there's
It's easy to kind of at least create something from the
well, and that's there's so many great NFL storylines, and we hit on a bunch of them, just accidentally on purpose.
Yeah,
So
correct. I mean, like you said, it doesn't have to just be Cowboys, but any NFL talk,
Yeah.
is good talk. So,
I agree. Yeah.
So, God, I'm so ready for college football. I'm just itching at the bit because I know most of those stadiums are going to be 100%.
Right.
And I thought college sports suffered the most. With the thing about the
Yeah.
fans. I think that was you can watch an NFL game and kind of, okay, it is what it is.
Right.
When you don't have
Yeah. It's
LSU fans,
so fan oriented. Yeah.
If you don't have Ohio State fans or Michigan fans,
Yeah.
or whatever, Clemson fans, you're just kind of like,
Yeah.
why am I? You're just not as excited.
You're right.
So
Yeah.
yeah, I think college sports suffered the most, and so with that being back, I'm so ready.
Yeah.
And I'm excited. Texas has a lot of new faces. New
You're
quarterback,
right.
New coach, new everything. So I think that's part of it.
Yeah.
College football. I'm just itching at the bit for football. Anything football.
It'll be here soon.
I know.
All right, man. Thanks so much. Anthony says the Jets are projected to finish worse than the Texans. I would bet Texans. I would take that bet, Anthony. Texans just look awful. Hopefully, but with a veteran quarterback at Tyrod Taylor, who knows? But he did have that god-awful injury last year. Chris Duel Show with Shannon Salty Sweeney on a Thursday as we begin the weekend because we can and we do on a Thursday, July 8th. Welcome in Dave Ayler, your soundscape stylist, and Shannon, all kinds of things going on in the world of sports. And you were letting us know, in fact, during the last segment, we didn't get to it, some NFL news that is being reported that has something to do with Twitter.
Yeah, the NFL keeping their partnership with Twitter strong to bring exclusive content to the platform during the NFL season, including new highlight offerings, expanded Twitter voting polls. I think they do a lot with like touchdown celebrations, which are pretty cool, and providing fans the best moments from every game. So, I mean, Dave, Twitter is the place to be during the NFL football season, just as it is throughout the rest of the year.
Yeah, Dave Ayler, you Twitter denier, you Twitter hater, you Twitter non-participant. What's wrong with you? Come on.
I can't get that anywhere else.
No.
I get all my NFL stuff on other websites.
This is going to be exclusive content.
And I bet you didn't know that just 1 minute ago, via Twitter, both CNN and Sports Illustrated, among others, announcing that there will be no spectators now at the Tokyo Games.
Oh! Our good friend Taro Kotani, who lives in Tokyo and is a Spurs fan, he's been talking since last year because it was supposed to happen in 2020. He loves the Spurs. He loves Coach Greg Popovich. He has tickets to see Olympic basketball. It ain't happening. He won't be allowed to go see it.
You get a refund for that, right?
I sure hope so.
I mean,
God, that's awful.
It's yeah, the country is declaring a state of emergency that begins on June 12th. And from the little I read about it, it means they can't do alcohol sales.
Ooh.
Work from home. I think there's a curfew.
Well, see, if they didn't want me to come, they just have to eliminate alcohol sales. It's like, hey, man, we're having the Olympics. No alcohol. Then I'm not coming.
I don't go to a sporting event anymore if it's a dry.
Yeah, I don't, let adults be adults. And I know, and what drives me crazy is, and I know it's because fans have gotten out of control, but when you stop beer and alcohol sales in the fourth quarter, early fourth quarter, sometimes at the start of the fourth quarter, and it's like, come on, let me be an adult. Let me have an adult beverage. And if someone gets out of line, arrest them, cart them away, throw them in a police vehicle, and make them pay the price.
I think it's more so for people to sober up. I think that's more of where it comes from. Since a lot of people do drive themselves to the game, except over at Q2, they're preaching about all of the, ways to carpool and Uber and Lyft and eventually the train station. So if more people are riding in that way, then yeah, I think maybe we can. I mean, at the end of the day, if someone's gonna be stupid and drive under the influence, I don't think a fourth quarter stoppage of pure liquor sales is going to stop them.
I agree. So, all right, there's a lot of things that we haven't even gotten to yet, Shannon, and those are two big ones right now. Just today and this morning, you've got the NFL announcing this partnership with Twitter to put exclusive content on Twitter during and throughout the NFL season, not only the games themselves, but interviews on Twitter Spaces and other things. As Shannon just mentioned moments ago, as reported by CNN and Sports Illustrated, Tokyo, which Japan has already declared a state of emergency, and now no fans. It was at one point looking like it would be only Japanese citizens, no international fans flying in to see the games, but they were going to perhaps allow their own citizens, like our good friend Taro from Tokyo, to go to the games. But even that now is gone and off the table. Other things that we haven't gotten into yet, I did notice yesterday, Shannon, a new 75th anniversary logo for the NBA. Next year will be the 75th anniversary, so they got a whole new logo for next year.
Is this something they took from maybe the NFL and the centennial year of, hey, we can, again, marketing, the ability to sell more stuff because it's going to have a different logo?
Yeah.
The NFL 100 special. I believe colleges did it too for their season not too long ago. So I get it. The logo itself, it's still, we have the West, right? The
Jerry
dribbling,
West.
but he's in a diamond now. And
And
I don't know
they
much about anniversaries. Is 75?
I do believe
associated
the 75th anniversary is the diamond anniversary, so that would make
That
sense.
makes it better. That makes it a little bit better. But
You
I
know,
don't know how many people are gonna rush out just to get the diamond logo.
Yeah, and I don't, it's not. It's shaped like a diamond. It's red, white, and blue.
Basketball markings. It's,
Yeah. So
they worked harder on it than New Era worked on those hats. I'll tell you that. That's for damn sure.
yeah. And we have talked about, and it is, some people are pushing for it. You played earlier, and it was amazing during the Salty Shakedown. The gentleman on America's Got Talent, his wife was a basketball coach, and she died in the helicopter crash, along with the others, including Kobe and his daughter. There has been this talk, and I think Jerry West even said he's cool with it, to make Kobe a silhouette outline of Kobe Bryant, the new logo of the NBA. I'm still okay with that. And I actually kind of like it. I kind of think it's a good idea. What do you think about that? If after this 75th season that does have Jerry West on it, maybe it's time to change up the logo.
Yeah, if there was ever a time to do it, I think going into the 76th, right? A kind of new chapter, new era.
Mhm.
Instead of reverting back, you make it something special. It's also interesting, we're in the finals now. So I guess maybe because the NBA is more relevant now than maybe at the very beginning of the season, they're making this announcement. I don't know. It just kind of appeared. Like, I got up on Twitter this morning and there it was. It didn't feel like there was this grandiose announcement where the NFL was like, it's the centennial year and this is going to be all the stuff we're going to do and logos on the field. And it was like, here's a diamond graphic.
You're right. There was not a lot of fanfare, and you would have thought, they would have done a thing maybe at halftime of one of the finals games. So yeah, maybe a missed opportunity.
Yeah, the NBA is still like taking cues from the NFL and yet still falling flat when they try to execute.
Yeah, and but do what the NFL does, because the NFL is very, very successful at it. Speaking of the NFL, we talked about Tom Brady on the LeBron James show on HBO, that soundbite of his saying that he was talking to one of the teams that he was considering going to in free agency, but they stayed with their quarterback. So he said, "What, you're sticking with that blanker?" And apparently there's a quarterback who says it was not him out there in the quarterback world of the NFL.
Yeah, a lot of people thought he was referencing Derek Carr, that maybe Tom Brady wanted to head out west and that he was considering the Raiders, getting to work with John Gruden. But Derek Carr said he was informed that he is not the person that Tom refers to. I don't know how much stock we put into that.
Yeah.
I feel like Derek Carr is a guy who takes to heart what people say, and so that's maybe a deflection on his.
Mhm.
No, it wasn't me. It couldn't have been me.
I've always kind of leaned that it's Jimmy Garoppolo and the 49ers, just given the fact that he grew up a 49ers fan. Tom Brady did in the Bay Area. He loved the Joe Montana, Dwight Clark era, because that's when he was a kid. And I mean, they were seemingly, before they were decimated by injuries last year. I mean, as it turns out, Brady made the right choice. But if you think about it from Brady's perspective, Garoppolo was kind of the thorn in his side at New England, who he had to go to Robert Kraft, the owner, to kind of get rid of Jimmy Garoppolo. So to hear, hey, man, I want to go to San Francisco, and you're expecting Kyle Shanahan maybe to welcome you with open arms as the savior of that franchise, and to hear, we think we're sticking with Jimmy Garoppolo. That could have been an issue for Tom Brady.
Yeah, I would, if we were, to vote on the person he was referring to, I'd put Jimmy G up there. And I don't think it has anything to do with Jimmy G personally. I think it's very much all business. But again, Tom Brady told us, 90% of the things he says are not what he's actually thinking.
True. And I kind of get that.
Everything.
Yeah. Yeah. Finally, speaking of football, Shannon, and you know me, I believe more football is good football. And apparently somewhere on the horizon, there is more football coming our way.
Yes, we are hearing the XFL is looking for a spring 2023 launch. I don't know. I feel I don't know if COVID really was the downfall of that league. I know it stopped it prematurely.
Yeah.
I don't know how sustainable it really would have been. So it'll be interesting to see it come back, not have COVID in its way. Like you say, more football is good football, but with the likes of Austin FC now in the Austin area, and when they start in late spring and play through the summer, like that's where my attention's going to be, especially if they redistribute teams and they don't put one in Austin or San Antonio or whatever. My focuses will be elsewhere.
Yeah, it did. I was not happy that the XFL gave a team to Dallas and a team to Houston in the spring when those cities have fall NFL football and they're just fine. When you mentioned Austin and San Antonio, when I think both of those cities could certainly support a team, and even we've talked about collaborating and either sharing a team or putting a team somewhere in the middle around San Marcos I could go with. But I wish they weren't waiting until 2023. Can we try it again in spring of next year, 2022? I gotta. That's like 2 years from now.
Yeah, I mean, if you're gonna do it, you should do it right to make sure it's as sustainable as possible, because it did feel a little bit slapped together at the last minute after the failed whatever the league was.
Alliance of American Football.
Yeah, that. So 2023 is something to look forward to, I guess, if it even makes it there, right? I mean, that's what they're saying. They're looking for that.
Yeah.
Who's to say that they'll get the funding to do it all over again? Because I think I also read that players were looking for their money to be paid out, and I think they ended up with like 4% of what they were originally contracted for.
Ooh, that's not good.
A lot of coin. Better than nothing, but it's not a lot.
Yeah, we had a poll question today. We did not get to it, so sorry. That occasionally happens. We don't do that on purpose. It's just we've got just so much sports to talk about that sometimes that happens. And our poll question, Shannon, we were asking people, what are they looking forward to that's on their sports horizon in July?
Yes. So our options today: NFL training camps at 35%, Olympics at 57%, and other you tell us at 8%. I myself, sir, voted other because next week begins Big 12 Media Days.
Woo!
It's always a lot of fun to see a couple of the prominent players from each team, as well as the coaches speak on, what their offseason has looked like and what they look for in the coming season. And of course, this will be Sark's first Big 12 Media Days, so I'm sure we will be getting lots of great sound bites coming our way.
We look forward to that, and that is just around the corner next week. Shannon, spectacular as always today, and a very special man. I did not know you were coming at us with that audio on the salty shakedown of the husband of the coach who was on board that helicopter with Kobe and his daughter. That was from America's Got Talent. I'm going to have to go look at that on YouTube. That was pretty powerful. I really enjoyed that.
It wouldn't be a shakeup if I didn't, or shakedown if I didn't shake it up.
You shook it up. I did not see that coming. That was fantastic. Dave Ayler, you were the man, sir. Are you back tomorrow?
Yes, bring on Friday.
Bring on Friday. You going to wear a T-shirt other than something plain like today?
It depends how I feel that day.
All right. Excellent job as always. Our thanks to Tanner Carlson as well. We will do this again in 21 hours. Game 2 of the NBA Finals tonight. I'm sure we'll be all over that. And the Astros going to try to sweep the Oakland A's tonight if they can make that happen. Have yourself a great Thursday. We will see you in 21 hours. Adios, amigos.